Hi everyone, Timothy Dunn here. Wanted to talk about law number 6. Thank you for staying with me. This is law number 6 of the 48 Laws of Power that are written by Mr. Robert Greene. This is going to be a fun one. Law number 6 says, court attention at all cost. Now the inscription says, draw attention to yourself by creating an unforgettable, even controversial image. You need to court scandal. I don't know about that. Do anything to make yourself seem larger than life and shine more brilliantly than those around you. Make no distinction between kinds of attention. Notoriety of any sort will bring you power. Better to be slandered and attacked than ignored. Now, obviously, we start talking about celebrities, okay? And we know that there are all kinds of celebrities that will do anything for attention. We've got everything from Charlie Sheen to the Octomom to all kinds of things out there that you go, oh my goodness, why would they do something like that? Or why aren't they embarrassed? Well, they probably are, but they also have agents and people behind them that understand that the people that buy tickets and that watch the shows that they're in are drawn to the fact that they have power because they have the ability to garner attention. And that's really key. So what we want to do is we don't necessarily want to go off the deep end here and do stuff that's weird, but we want to learn how we as normal individuals can gain power by utilizing this law. Now it says court attention at all costs. And, you know, everything is supposedly judged by appearance. It says to never get yourself lost in the crowd. Now, that's really interesting. As you know, if you get into this book, he talks about P.T. Barnum an awful lot. So let me give you a couple stories. He talked about P.T. Barnum at the early part of his circus career. He didn't own his own circus. He was actually working for a gentleman named Aaron Turner, okay? Now, what happened is they went to a town and they had nobody, scheduled to come to the circus. So they dressed P.T. Barnum up in a black suit and they walked him down Main Street. And what happened is the owner of the circus, Mr. Turner, he yelled, "Hey, isn't that guy that was wanted for murder?" And it was actually a very notorious case. The gentleman had been convicted of murder. Everybody was upset. And, the crowd back then, they didn't have photography and they didn't have instant cameras and white Bronco chases and 24-hour news channels. So they looked at the guy and he was in a black suit and they said, yeah, that's got to be him. So they actually attacked P.T. Barnum and he barely got away with his life. He says, look, that's not me. That's not me. I can prove it's me. I'm one of the owners of a partner in this circus. Come here and I will have all these people that work for me tell you who I really am. So the whole town went to the circus. Guess what? He sold an awful lot of stuff that day, and that was very interesting, even though it was almost at his own peril. And the thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you are controlling the perception, but make sure that you always have an escape plan, because if you're in some of these situations that you see on TV, a lot of these folks really haven't thought through what their actions were. Another thing that happened with P.T. Barnum, which is pretty interesting, a homeless guy came in and asked him for money. And he said, I'm not going to give you any money, I'm going to give you a job. So what he did is he was actually a curator at a museum, and he gave the guy 5 bricks. And the homeless guy was like, what am I going to do with this? He said, I want you to keep a very straight face. Matter of fact, I want you to kind of look sad. But I want you to walk around the block. And every so often, I want you to put one of these bricks down on the sidewalk. And after your second lap around, I want you to pick up a brick until you get to the next one and then put that one down and so on and so forth. And keep doing it until you're in front of the museum. Well, what happened after several laps, a lot of people are looking at this guy who has a very straight face. They knew he was homeless. And they wonder, what is this guy doing? And as he got closer and closer to the entrance of the museum, hundreds of people were there. And then on the last lap, the gentleman went into the museum and started doing the same thing throughout the museum, putting a brick down, picking one up. And the museum had a record day. They had all these people, and they go, oh yeah, this is nice stuff, too. They went into the museum and started looking at the artifacts, but that's the way he got people in. People are genuinely curious if you can control the stage. Another thing that happened is that with the same museum, it was failing. He put up a big sign and he said, free music. And so everybody was all excited because they didn't have a lot of bands back then. So he had a balcony and he went out purposely and hired the worst band that he could find. And guys with no rhythm, barely played the instrument. It was just absolutely horrid. So what happened is when they started playing, the people started throwing fruit and getting all upset. But what happened is the only way of escape was directly into the museum. So all these people bought a ticket and went into the museum, started looking at stuff just to get out of earshot of that horrible band. Now, I want you to think about this. The next time you see something that happens, think about the design and the stage that's actually behind it. Think about how it makes you feel. And think about how the reaction of the masses is what it is, and how they are actually giving power or giving control to the people that can create the stage. Now, what has this got to do with us at work? What has this got to do in a corporate environment? I can't necessarily peacock at work, and I can't do all this other stuff, but what you can do is you can start becoming a little bit more mysterious. Remember in some of the other chapters we talked about being an open book. If you're a librarian, or if you're a plumber, or if you're in a job that's not necessarily just Mardi Gras, then what you can do is you can start to curtail yourself by being a little bit more mysterious. I think about that movie Deeds with Adam Sandler. Remember the butler? The butler that would just show up out of nowhere? And the first couple times it kind of scared you. But after that, you ended up kind of liking the character. Well, the same thing happens with the people that are around you. If you can be mysterious enough, and you have enough power to show up unexpectedly or do some things that are a little bit out of character, but not too far off. We're not talking any wackadoodle type stuff. But if you have this ability, then what happens is eventually the people around you are going to start to be endeared to your unique qualities. And you know what that is? That's power. That's people giving you power in a corporate environment. The key here is to make sure that once you have it, that you don't spend it where it's going to be wasted, and that comes a little bit later on. So what have we learned? We want to make sure that we court attention at all costs, okay? I don't know if that's you or me, but that's what the book says. But we want to be aware of people that orchestrate things, and if you're going to go through this, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have an end game. Now, last but not least, one of the big things about accumulating power, along with being an enigma, a riddle, or being mysterious, or being unpredictable, one of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to go out and court power or beg for power in front of the king or queen. So if you have a boss, always make sure of the ego in the room. Now, if you do this, you're going to end up getting crushed. But the book also says that there's going to be plenty of opportunity to go out and be unpredictable amongst your peers a little bit later on. But if there's somebody of seniority in the room with you, it actually says, put your head down and retreat. There will be another day. So always be careful. The accumulation of power, remember, is not just power itself, but it's influence. So what we're learning is the psychology of the human brain, and how people that don't have the discipline and don't have the awareness are manipulated day to day by those that are just simply aware of these rules. Now, this is where I'm hoping that I can get help and you can get help just by, maybe this isn't your cup of tea, but if we can see more of these patterns, maybe we don't walk into some of these traps. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. We're on to law number 7 here very soon. Take care.